Alrighty, hi there, Mike Coplitz here with you again. This is session number 6 in our e-preaching series. Here I want to get into a little bit of basics of presentation skills. First, I want to talk to you a little bit about dress code. Now, if you're invited to a church as a lay speaker, a lay servant speaker, whatever we're calling ourselves today, I would ask the preacher, or the pastor who's having you come in, if there is a dress code. If you're going to a traditional worship at your typical Methodist church in this particular conference, and you're a male, you want to go in at least a sport coat with tie. Now, what's easy for guys is that we can get dressed a little fancier, and we can dress down. So if you happen to be wearing a tie and you get to the church and the church people look at you and say, you don't need that tie, piece of cake. Take the tie off. Oh, you don't need the jacket? Take the jacket off. It's easier for us, for men I should say, to dress up and come down than it is for the ladies to do. So I would always dress up one level above the people in the church. Bearing in mind, I can always take my tie off, I can always take my jacket off, I can dress down a little bit. Ladies, it gets a little bit more difficult because you don't exactly have those options to work with. So I would ask the pastor, is it formal dress or informal dress? You know, maybe you can get away with pantsuits, things like that. It's a little tougher for ladies to dress down. But the best thing to do is ask pastor. Because if you're going to a small church where everyone's coming in jeans, you may not want to do the jean thing, but I would probably do khakis at least. I wouldn't go in a wool suit or pantsuit or dress of that sort. So dress code would be important. It's not a real important thing, but people will be looking at you. And generally when you go into a location you've never been at, if you can figure out how to do this, and if you're leading the worship, I'm sure you can, because a lot of times you lead the worship and preach at the same time, and hopefully you've taken the worship class. If not, we do have an e-preaching worship class. You want to allow people to see you and kind of scan you up and down. I know you're probably sitting there wondering about that one. That's because you're a mystery. If you've never been to church before, you're a mystery to them. And we humans have this insatiable need to be able to see all of you in one scan. The problem is if you get up and you stand behind a podium from beginning to end, they never see all of you. They just see, like the head shot, a little bit of shoulder shot. And that will bother people. They won't be able to verbalize it, but it will bother them. It's kind of a trust issue thing. If you come out new and they see all of you, doesn't have to be more than like 3-4 seconds at the absolute most, then there's like a trust that gets built. I know it sounds strange, but I'm telling you, it works every time. Now, second thing on the list is hand motions. First, what are you going to do with these? Well, the best thing to do, and I may have to adjust this camera to do this. Let's go. What you're going to do is you start where your breastplate is. Where your sternum, the breastbone is. And you're going to make a triangle down to your waist and across. And in that triangle, that's where your hands have to be. Usually relaxed. Inside of that triangle, if you're not using them to make hand gestures. Okay, that's a good presentation basic to know. And you'll see me do that a lot. Actually, you can't see my triangle, but when you're not seeing my hands, they're in that triangle. That's something that I learned back in my days of taking presentation skills. Here's a better shot. You always have the hands here. Now, moving your hands is a good thing. It forces people to kind of wake up if they're getting glazed over, because while you're moving your hands, of course, they're going to watch. Where's the hands going? Sometimes if you come out, that makes an impression that you're coming toward them. Going up like this, you're encompassing something. It's the point that the hands are moving. If you're just going to stand like this and never move your hands and start talking monotone, you've basically put them to sleep. Now, combined with hand motions is podiums. I don't like podiums. And I don't know if you've noticed, if you come to annual conference, you'll notice they now use a plastic or an acrylic clear podium opposed to the big wood ones. Most of your churches have big wood ones. What happens is people that are nervous about preaching or being a public speaker, it's going to be a little hard to show this, but I'll do it with my water bottle. So I'm going to turn it sideways. Pretend that's the wood podium. They're going to do this. Heard that crack? Yeah, that's my squeezing the water bottle, putting my impressions in it. That's what happens if they're nervous. You're going to grab onto those podiums on the sides, and then you're never going to let go. Okay, problem with the podium. One, that's a tendency. Of course, the second one is they can't see all of you, which I did address a little bit earlier. If you have the acrylic clear one, I can see all of you behind the podium. If you're reading a transcript, which many of you probably are, and again, until you've done this for years, you're going to do it. And even many of our pastors who have been preaching for years and years and years still need a podium and still need notes and still need and that's fine. But a podium allows you to have those notes. Now, I'm going to stop here and talk about a couple things you can do. If you have paper, don't have any paper near me because I'm kind of a paperless thing here. Oh, wait a minute, here's some paper. I just found some. Sitting on the printer. Hey, here we go, 8.5 by 11 paper. Right, your message is printed out on here. And here, I'm going to raise it up so that you can see, there's the podium and there's the paper. And if I go, as I'm turning the pages, now I know that I'm doing a big major league flourish here. People are going to know, oh yeah, he's reading the transcript down there. There goes a piece of paper. You want to try to make that a minimum. And what I used to do when I was using paper, and recommend this, is that you separate the papers. See if I can show it to you in the camera. See how I have them separated? So they're pulled out slightly, and then when you pull it off, you just push it to the side if the podium's big enough. You pull it to the side. And what happens is because you've put the papers in with this little break, I don't know what, indentations, what I would use as the word, they slide right off and you don't worry. Of course, you don't want to be printing on both sides of the paper. You don't want to be flipping paper. You don't want to be doing anything like I just did with the paper that potentially will distract you. Also, now that my phone's doing it, wherever my phone happens to be, of course, make sure you've turned the ringer off on your phone. In this case, it's 5 o'clock and I got an alarm set. Anything that's distracting. So if you got a podium and you got paper, indent them, the pages, and be able to just push them off to the side. That works fine. If you're using something like a tablet or a PC, there is an advantage to having it on an angle up. Now, you can take a PC and get a good 45-degree angle. This is a 90-degree angle that I'm using at the moment. Most of you, when you use your notebooks, do that. But you can push that screen down pretty far, so that if you're reading the transcript off of the computer, off the PC, it almost looks like you're looking at the audience. The trick of it is, if you look at the people in the third row pews, everyone behind them are going to think you're looking at them. Now, if it's a wide church, which most of us do have wide churches we go to, obviously you're going to have to turn and look at the third row. Looking at the third row. The people in the front will think you're looking at them, the people in the back. Again, that's a rule of thumb because I don't know how much space is between the podium you're going to stand at and the third row. Obviously, if that space is even longer, that's going to create a problem. You'll be looking at rows before you. Some of our really large churches have that. Okay, podiums are fine. Put your notes on them, fine. An outline is fine. While I'm thinking of it, because it actually happened today in worship, have backup ready. So I gave the slides to the tech guy. He had them up on the screen. We just got rid of our projectors and went to panels, and the back panel threw a fit. It's actually the USB adapter threw a fit. So I said, fine, cut off the back panel. And I had my iPad there ready to go. I actually use a music stand when I have to do that, because a music stand you can tilt. And I don't have to stand in front of the music stand, because all I need is my outline. When I have a back panel, that's easy. I'll just look at the back panel. But if I don't have a back panel, then I don't have a choice but to use the iPad and the music stand. It makes it work pretty nicely. Okay, language I've mentioned a little bit about, and I mentioned about Susan and the Yale Divinity School language. Just go under the rule of thumb that people don't know church language. Churchy, maybe the word churchy is better. Theological. They should know that, but if I use that word, I do tell them that's the study of God. If you're going to use apocalyptic, you should tell them that means end times. If you use the word like Paul used, parousia, which is actually Greek for end times, nobody's going to know that beyond you. You're not there to show off. I know you're sitting there going, I know better than that, and I'm sure you do, but, the clergy have lingo just like lawyers. When you go to your lawyer or doctor, think about the fancy words they're using. That's to say to you, hey, I'm the expert and you're not, and I'm going to show you I'm an expert because I know fancy words. Don't use them in church, just define them. You only have to define it once at the beginning. So remember that, that's important. The other thing about language, which is kind of intriguing, and it's actually connected, since I have that slide up, it gets kind of connected to reading of transcripts. The best, if you're going to use transcripts, again, which is fine, this is how I suggest you consider doing it. I use Dragon speech recognition software. I'm actually on version 15, which is really good, especially if you get one of these $15 microphones, not the 3 for $10 ones. This is a nice Sony stereo mic. If you need to use a transcript, dictate from your outline your sermon through that kind of software. Now, if you're using iPads and Androids, I don't know what software to tell you. Windows will give you, well, Dragon for Windows is just fantastic. It's like $100. But you can dictate your message, because our oral language is different than our written language. Now, you're going to edit the transcript because Dragon is really good. It's gotten a lot better over the last 20 years. It's not perfect. You don't speak perfectly. I don't speak perfectly. The software is going to get uppity here and there, just the way it is. And you're going to have to correct the transcript. But while you're correcting the transcript, don't get rid of all the grammatical mistakes, because grammatical mistakes show up in oral communication. If you would write down everything I've been saying for just this one session, you would be able to show me how poor my grammar is in spots in my oral communication. Where, when I was writing the PhD dissertation just a few months ago, I had to make sure that every comma was in the right place. When someone is giving a sermon and I'm listening to them and I hear perfect pitch grammar throughout the whole thing, I know they're reading it. There are other signs, but that's the big one. Nobody that I know anyway talks in perfect grammar. I probably just messed that sentence up too. We just don't talk that way. That's why dictating with something like Dragon is really good. Okay, now you're going to say to me, I don't want to spend $100 on the software. I don't blame you. Got a tape recorder, or hell, heck with the tape recorder. You have Windows, you have iPads, you have Androids. You have a voice recorder. Turn it on with your outline and tell us what you're going to say. And have it produce a file. Some of these software packages will create the text file, but if it doesn't, that's okay. You can play it back and type it. Just remember, don't correct the bad spots of grammar. That's what tells me that you're talking to me opposed to just reading something to me. Okay, emotions. Yeah, I like to hear some emotions. Here's the one that you really want to hear, and that's passion. Do you have passion for what it is that you're talking to me about? If you come across as a wet monologue rag with no emotions, you sound very robotic. You're not going to generate emotional response in me. Now, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? Come on, you know. You're trying to motivate me to do something different. And if you can show me some of your passion, show me some of your heart, show me some of your emotions, that will affect me as I'm listening. You could do inflections. You could slow down. You could stop. All those little pauses and things which might show me some emotion is the key, which also connects to voice. You're going to go faster, you're going to go slower. You're going to pitch up, you're going to pitch down. Monologuing in monotone. Ooh, that's a killer right there. That's a snooze fest. Gotta mix it up. And I've been doing that if you've been listening to this last, wow, it's already 17 minutes. But if you go and look at some music, why are there half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, full notes? Why? Because if music only had one note and one speed, it would be, you got it, boring. So use your voice, use your emotions to capture me. You're trying to capture my attention and hold on to it while you're making your points. I think now we've covered pretty much all of these items on the list of concerns for presentation skills. They take practice. Let me tell you it this way, and I was told this when I took my first presentation skills class, one-on-one. Talking to your spouse, talking to your kid, talking to your boss, friend, whatever. Consider them all presentations. That's a key way to look at it. Now, while I'm sitting here thinking, a couple things popped in about dress code. I'm looking at it going, ooh, dress code, I forgot a couple things. Let me add this in. Don't wear big shiny buckles of silver that light just disperses off of them. You're trying to keep their attention on what you're saying, not the way you're dressed. So I had a guy come in with a rodeo buckle he wore. I mean, the sucker must have been this big, and it was beautiful. It was silver. I'm surprised it didn't cut him in the gut when he sat down. But the problem was when he got in front of the class, all I saw was this shimmering buckle. So, silver buckles, gold buckles, bolos, anything that's huge. Small is fine, huge is bad. Another thing comes to mind, see, now sometimes this jumps around, but that's alright for dress code. Brown, stay away from dark brown. Light brown, okay. Dark brown is considered boring. Look at UPS trucks. Boring. Look at FedEx trucks. Oh, they look pretty cool. Brown is a boring color. Now, if you're worrying about things like, well, do I wear a power tie? Well, you're not the power. God's the power. What color are power ties? Well, it depends what president's in office. Yellow was a power tie for a long time in the 80s and into the 90s. So you have to figure that one out as you go. You're not going to come in, you don't come in as the expert, you don't come in saying, I'm the all-powerful Oz, look at my fancy tie. No, it doesn't work that way. You want to come across as one of the people. You're one of them. And God is giving you a message to deliver. Okay, a couple of things will probably come to mind as I continue in dress code, but I want you also to think about the best colors. Do remember black. All black is authoritarian, so you have to be careful with that. If you've been preaching at a church like a CLM for a number of weeks, months, and years you're going to be there, and you wear all black, that's fine. But if you're walking in, let's say you come to the church I'm at, and this is your first time, and you come in all black, you probably won't be coming back, because the people are going to they're going to say to me things like, well, that speaker you brought in thought they knew everything. Why did they get that impression? Because you wore black. It wouldn't hurt to Google colors and just to get an idea of the different colors and the different things that are portrayed. All right, I went 21 minutes here. It's time to call it quits. There's some things in the worksheet that you want to take a look-see at. All right, God bless you, and I'll see you in session number 7.